Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to decode the physics behind your workout, and I'll show you how a little bit of science can help you train smarter, not just harder.
All right, let's just jump right in with a question that I swear every single one of us who's ever picked up a dumbbell has asked. The answer? Well, it's not just about getting tired. It's about pure, simple physics. And once you get this, it's going to completely change how you look at every single exercise you do, for real. So, to get to the bottom of this mystery, we got to back up a tiny bit. Think about this. Your body, it's basically this amazing, super sophisticated machine, and it's made up of levers. Yep, levers. Your bones are the bars, your joints act as the pivots or fulcrums, and your muscles, they're providing the oomph, the force to get things moving.
Okay, so it turns out there are three main types or classes of levers, and the easiest way to tell them apart is to just look at what's in the middle. You've got Class 1, which is all about balance. Think a seesaw. Then there's Class 2, which gives you a huge advantage for lifting heavy stuff, like a wheelbarrow. But then you have Class 3, and this is the one that's all over our bodies. It's built for speed and a big range of motion. But, and this is a big but, it means our muscles have to work way harder. And that bicep curl we were talking about? Yep, classic Class 3 lever.
Wait a second. So if our muscles are actually at a disadvantage when we do a curl, then why does it get so much harder at that one specific spot? Well, the secret, it's all about leverage.
You see, the force your bicep is fighting, it isn't just the number written on the side of the dumbbell. It's this rotational force called torque. You can kind of think of it as the real feel weight, what your muscle is actually experiencing at the joint. And here's the kicker. It's not constant. It's changing with every inch you move that weight. And the absolute most important piece of that whole torque puzzle is something called the moment arm. This right here, this is the key to everything. All it is the horizontal distance from the weight you're holding to the joint that's doing the work. That's it. The longer that distance, the more leverage the weight has, and the more torque your muscle has to crank out to fight it.
Okay, let's put this into practice. Picture it. You're at the very start of a bicep curl. Your arm's hanging straight down. Where's the dumbbell? It's pretty much right under your elbow, right? So that horizontal distance, the moment arm, is super small. That means low torque, and that's why the weight feels so easy to get moving. But now, what about the middle of the lift? Think about it. When your forearm is perfectly parallel to the floor, that dumbbell is the furthest it's going to get from your elbow, horizontally speaking. The moment arm is maxed out, and that means, bam, maximum torque. And that is precisely why that middle part of the curl feels so incredibly hard. And then as you finish the curl, bringing that weight up towards your shoulder, what happens? The dumbbell gets closer to your elbow again horizontally. The moment arm shrinks, the torque drops off, and the top of the lift feels, you guessed it, easier. And there you have it, mystery solved.
So this whole journey of difficulty, easy at the bottom, tough in the middle, easy at the top, it's not just some random thing. It actually has a name. And honestly, it's one of the most useful ideas in all of strength training. It's called the strength curve.
So what is a strength curve? Think of it like a map of your exercise. It's basically a graph that shows you how hard your muscle has to work, the torque, at every single point in the movement. It shows you exactly where the sticking points are and where the easy parts are. And here's the thing, not all exercises have the same map.
Okay, so for some exercises, you get what's called an ascending curve. This means the lift is hardest right at the start, when the muscle is all stretched out. Think about a squat or a bench press. Getting that weight out of the hole at the bottom is the toughest part. Then, on the flip side, you have a descending curve. These get harder and harder as you go, and they feel the absolute heaviest at the very top, when the muscle is squeezed tight. A perfect example is a dumbbell lateral raise.
And finally, you've got the bell-shaped curve. This should sound familiar, because it's exactly what we just broke down with the bicep curl. It's easy at the beginning and the end, with the absolute peak of difficulty right in the middle. A ton of arm and shoulder exercises with free weights follow this exact pattern.
Okay, this is all cool theory, right? But here's the million-dollar question. How do we actually use this information? How do we take this idea that different exercises are harder at different points and turn it into, building more muscle and getting stronger?
Well, this leads us to a really simple but super powerful training strategy. It's called positions of flexion, or POS training for short. The whole idea is that if you really want to fully develop a muscle, you can't just hit it from different physical angles. You have to challenge it biomechanically, where it's weakest and where it's strongest.
So why should you care about this? Well, there's some really interesting research suggesting that different parts of your muscle, I'm talking down to the individual fibers, get stressed differently depending on how stretched or contracted the muscle is.
So, by picking exercises that are hardest when the muscle is stretched out, others that are hardest in the middle, and others that are hardest when it's fully squeezed, you're basically covering all your bases. You're giving that muscle the most complete signal possible to grow.
All right, enough theory. Let's make this practical. We can actually organize our exercises based on their strength curves to build a way smarter workout.
So here it is. This is your blueprint. For any muscle you're training, the goal is to pick one exercise from each of these 3 buckets. Let's take triceps, for example. You could do an overhead extension to hit that stretched position. Then, you could do a skull crusher for the mid-range. And finally, a cable pushdown or a kickback to really squeeze it in that contracted position. See? You've just hit the triceps through their entire range of motion, from every angle of tension.
And this right here really brings it all home. Because of how those moment arms work, a deep squat with a manageable weight can actually put more tension on your quads than a sloppy half squat with twice the weight on the bar. It's a total game changer. It proves it's not just about how much weight is on the bar, but where in the movement you're creating that tension.
So the next time you're in the gym putting together a workout, I want you to shift your thinking. Don't just ask, what muscle am I working? Ask yourself, okay, but where in the range of motion am I really challenging this muscle? Because when you start combining exercises with different strength curves, that's when you start building routines that are not just complete, but truly